Hello and welcome to another video. So I'm walking my dog today. I don't get too much time to myself anymore, so yeah, doing a multitask. So there's been something on the back of my mind recently, and that is, would I enter software engineering again if I was starting from fresh today? So I am now 3 years into my career as a software developer, and I kind of got in just at the tail of the layoffs, so just before they began, and also LLMs and AI and agentic coding really becoming big. So I got in just before that. And I think I'm lucky that I did, but I still don't think that spells the end for newcomers in the software industry. I think we will reach a new equilibrium. I think AI and LLMs, the hype has sort of started to die down a little bit now. We kind of know what they are capable of. And unless there's some really big leaps forward in those, which just isn't being shown with the new releases, I don't think they're going to have quite the impact that all of the hype and fearmongers peddling all of this stuff online have been saying it will. So much to say is I do think that there is still the opportunity to become a software developer. Now, being a software developer will change over time with these new tools, but nothing replaces the fact that you need to have solid fundamentals and you be the driver of the code, whether it's you're writing it or an agent, an LLM. So if I was to get into software engineering today, what I would do is I would build something that showcased that I understood how to take a real world problem and solve it with code. So in many cases, that is building a simple web app that solves a problem. So what I did, my dog right there, well, I got her from a very small organization that didn't have a website and were kind of struggling on the whole tech front. And I said, hey, well, you know what? I've been studying Ruby on Rails. I'm going to build you a basic website where you can post all your dogs and then people can sign up and apply to adopt these dogs. And it worked. They still use it. It saves them a lot of time, and it's a tool that solved a problem for them. Now, it seems like a very simple case, and that's because it was, and it should be for your first web app. But the fact is that I took a real world problem. I had to work with a client and understand their needs and build something that suited their needs and solved a problem for them. That goes a very long way in showing that you are capable as a software engineer. That's what companies hire for, is the ability to take a problem, understand it well enough, break it down, and solve it with code. That's what you're getting hired to do. So if you can demonstrate that, you will stand out from your peers with no exception. I guarantee it, because not many people have the time or the ingenuity to do that. And that's how you stand out. And I would strongly encourage you to find something that is troubling someone, whether it's a small business, a family member, etc., and build them a basic web app that solves that problem. Make sure it's simple. You want to be able to complete this project within a couple of months. You don't want to be spending years on it, that's for sure. You want to be able to finish it, because the whole point is you need something up and running. But in order to build a web app, there's a core set of skills that you need to master. Now, the route I went was Ruby on Rails, okay? But fundamentally, you need to have a data store, a way to communicate, or CRUD, create records, update, delete those records within that data store. You need a way to show that on the web, serve it to clients, have an interface that they can interact with. And I mean, that's really the bare bones of a web app, right? We're called CRUD monkeys at the end of the day, and that's because that's essentially what we're all doing with web apps. Now, there's many ways to solve that problem. There's many languages, many frameworks and tools that will allow you to do that. I chose Ruby on Rails. I think it is a fantastic framework for projects that are just like they're small. You want to be able to develop quickly, and they have a lot of conventions in place that allow you to focus on the real business case of what needs to be done. Now, regardless of what you choose, I would recommend Ruby on Rails. But you could choose JavaScript, you could choose Python. There's a whole load of languages and frameworks out there. The important thing is that you master those fundamentals. Now, if you are in university, You may be learning languages and frameworks that are not that practical for this, so you have to learn these things yourself. If you are self-taught, well then now you have the luxury of actually choosing a language and a framework that is going to help you get off the ground. And if you're in a boot camp, they are probably already focused on a language and a framework that will do this. Now, if you are self-taught, you're going to have so many potential choices to make. And this is the hard part. People get stuck at this stage. They wonder, what is the language I should learn? What is the framework I should master? And they'll start dabbling in one and then be like, oh, look, there's a shiny thing over here, and then move over to that. Never become proficient enough to actually produce anything of value. So what I would recommend is just do the Odin project. It's very comprehensive, but it teaches you exactly what you need to know. And you have the choice of either doing JavaScript or Ruby on Rails. That's it. That's all you need to know, is either one of those. So to build a web app, like I said, you need to understand how to work with a database, create, read, update, delete records within that database. You need to understand how to build business logic into your backend. You need to understand how to build a user interface and maybe have some dynamic elements, which is where JavaScript will come in. And you will learn all these things in the Odin project. And there is a lot to learn and a lot to master just in that in itself. So when I did the Odin project, it took me, I got my first job 8 months in. 6 months of that was me studying the Odin project. The last 2 months was me building my dog adoption application that helped me get my first job. So that was studying every single day, 4 or 5 hours every day, pretty much. So it's a lot of work. Some people will be faster, some people will be slower. You've got to invest that time. So I strongly recommend doing a course just like the Odin project, because it will give you the tool set and the competence to go out there, use a web framework that is already tried and tested, and will help you get your web application up and running off the ground. The core thing here is focus on the fundamentals first and do enough so that you understand enough about JavaScript, Ruby, or whatever language you choose to learn. Then start playing around in the web frameworks that they have associated with them, understand how they work. Once you've built the tools and skill sets and debugging abilities in that, then it's time to pick up your first project and build something that's going to solve a problem in the real world, that's going to have a real user. And one of the cool things here you're going to learn about is deployment as well, deploying it to the web. The lovely thing about Rails is that we have Heroku, which is as simple as a single command, and you have a deployed app ready to run. Whatever web framework you use, you're going to have to grapple with that, but there's always tools and kind of platforms as a service out there that help you with these things. This will show that you have taken a problem from start to finish as a complete package, and you will just stand out 100%. I would do that all over again if I had to go out and get a job today. I would learn enough so that I could build a web app, and in that whole time I would not lean too heavily on AI. I would not let AI write my code for me. There's too much of a temptation there, and in doing so you will not develop the competence, the fundamentals, or the grit required to become successful as a software developer. Write that code yourself. Use an AI or an LLM to explain concepts to you. Get it to check your code, but never, ever, ever come to it not knowing how to write something and asking it to write it for you, because you will not learn. Anyway, good luck. Curious to see what other people think down there about how they would go and get their first job. Have a good day. Yep. Life's good. I'm very glad I made the switch, and hopefully you can follow through on your dreams and your goals and make them happen too. See ya.